What's up, everyone? My name is Allie, and you're listening to the Ear Coffee Podcast. This week, we welcomed Minneapolis jazz quintet Rabeca back onto the show. The group released their debut in the isolated early hours of 2020, which spurned on a summer of writing, playing outside, and improvising in more ways than one. Those months of work planted the seeds that grew into the band's newest LP, Junk. It was a pleasure to talk with them about the record's creation, dread, joy, and separation, experimenting with new sounds, and more. Without further ado, here's my interview with Colleen, Anna, Alex, David, and Satchel of Rabeca on the Ear Coffee Podcast. How are we doing?
We're good. We had fun.
Yeah.
Quite well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a lot of fun for us too. Thanks again for being here. Diving in, let's just start with reintroductions. You know, it has been not only 4 years since we talked, 4 years since you last put out music, and we're obviously going to talk about the new record, but so we can assign names to voices almost. But Nate, what your role in the band is? Any other pertinent information you want to share with us before we dive into the music?
My name is Satchel, and I play bass.
What?
Not true.
What?
It's not true. But my name's David. I play bass, and my favorite cereal is shredded wheat.
Bold take.
Hot take, yeah.
Okay, that is bold.
It's hot enough for me to respect.
Yeah. I'm Anna. I play saxophone and do some singing too. And favorite cereal. I liked Chex. That was kind of fun.
You liked Chex? Do you not currently?
I don't really
enjoy
eat cereal
Chex?
now.
Wow.
I agree with that.
I feel like you're a poser participating in this question, then.
I mean, absolutely.
You aren't really engaged with cereal culture.
That is true.
My name is Rack, and I play keys and I sing. And I had a Diet Coke earlier, and it's making my palms sweat.
That's real.
My name's Colleen. I use she, her pronouns. I play guitar and sing. And I don't know what to say. I feel like I need to make up my own fun fact. And I like frosted mini wheats as a cereal.
Frosted mini wheats.
Back to cereal.
Good. I love that.
That's all I got.
You know, I'll validate that. And
My-
on that note of validation, we can continue. Do you have more cereal related?
No, it's actually about how I don't eat cereal and actually how I eat yogurt.
So
I also eat yogurt.
Satchel's
Also
role in the band is
yogurt.
actually just liar. Because so far we've been 2 for 2. But
Spreading rumors.
as I kind of said before, it's been 4 years since, at least it was 3 years since the record that we're about to talk about came out. It came out in December, but Potluck was the record that introduced you to the world as well as me. That came in 2020, and that's the last time we talked. So as I said, it's great to have you back. As a way of naturally segueing into what informed the music that would come to be the new release that we're going to talk about, kind of fill in some of the gaps in those 4 years, just before you even started working on the song, or as it began to form, like what was going on with the band, with your lives, it kind of was playing a part with the creation of this record and as its sound developed.
Definitely the pandemic happened. It's wild, like hearing you say that, like, oh, it's been like 3-4 years. I'm like, wait,
Oh, don't
has it?
Yeah.
Time is fake.
Time is fake.
Yeah, our first album, Potluck, came out in March of 2020. So that was a great time. Yeah, we'd never had a release show for that. Like we had one planned, but it was late March of 2020. So yeah, that was kind of a weird time to release our first album as a band. So yeah, that happened. And then, yeah, we kind of entered like the pandemic times, and we were really fortunate to be like 3 of our housemates, Rack, Satchel, and David you were all in the same house at that time, right? Or 2
Pretty
of
much.
you?
Correct. Kinda.
More or less.
I wasn't technically.
Not
but
anymore.
But we had a dirty bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a dirty bubble, and we're able to play. Like we played outside a lot during the summer in the
Played
backyard.
on the porch, on that rickety ass porch that I hope it's broken, and I hope no one fell when it broke, because man, if there's like 3 people stomping around on it, I was saying prayers.
Well, we made it work and played there.
We also played in a church a little bit. We went
What
far
was that?
away.
How'd that connection come about?
I'm a church choir director,
Awesome.
so it was the church that I worked at, and yeah, we also play basketball in the basement.
That was such a good perk.
Yeah,
Still play
That's
basketball.
great. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's when a church has like a gym where you can play Nothing bad. That's just such a. That was always you'd be excited for youth group when you were a
Yeah,
wee one.
exactly. Yeah, when we started, it had like asbestos carpet too,
Oh,
but
my
they
new band name.
have subsequently had a love of asbestos carpet. You go to the asbestos carpet show,
Yeah.
and then we just like kind of wrote the music as we normally do. I feel like we always collaborate on our songs, and we just pretty much for the past like 4 years have had one night a week that we meet to either do a preposterous amount of logistics to like organize getting our fucking album out, or the myriad performances. I feel like we performed a lot over the past
did.
few years.
Yeah.
Once the demi kind of ended, or continued, but we just just started coughing each other's mouths again. But
Patriotic.
yeah, we still on the grind, and it's been so fun. We're still friends, which is crazy. 4 years of co-organizing shit, haven't had a falling out, or haven't had like a so bad of a falling out that we stopped making music together.
I wouldn't even call it a falling out. It's like conversation.
Oh yeah, some processing of our emotions together. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's been the story of Rabeca as much as
But
our
we've been
music
through
has
a
been.
lot. Yeah, I think everyone has. So
Yeah.
it comes out in any project
Yeah.
that you're part of.
Yeah.
It's like this has been a lot.
Absolutely. And kind of what one of the first things I want to ask about the album, I think the most immediately noticeable thing, at least as someone who has listened to the first record, was the addition of all the vocals and lyrics, and just kind of that taking a forefront on a handful of the songs. And so, obviously, that is a way to kind of address the themes that you're kind of meditating on when you're making the music in a often more direct way. But with that power kind of at hand, but there are still songs that you are instrumental. And one of the songs you played tonight, which was it is unreleased. It's a new one.
It's a new one.
Okay, it is a new
yeah.
one. Was it instrumental as well? So that is still absolutely part of Rabeca's repertoire, their universe. So, talk about how you kind of were able to play with investing those feelings into not just the lyrics that you all contributed or worked on as a band, but the music as well. And so I'm always curious about how that can kind of translate instrumentally, because it's clearly something you're kind of grasping at, and so like trying to convey, and you're just kind of pulling away the curtain a little bit to how you were conscious of that as you were writing and making the record during these times, and as you look back on these times.
Yeah, so I think something that's really cool about this band and I really appreciate so much is that I hadn't really performed or sang a lot before being in Rabeca, and I know that's the same for Colleen too. And I think being in this band allowed for the two of us in particular, Alex or Rack had already been singing a long time, but for Colleen but for Colleen and I think there was something really cool about honing in our skills and working on performing live and stuff with singing. And I think for me personally, sometimes with your primary instrument, you can feel both like really liberated sometimes, but then also kind of held back. And like, there's something really cool about going into a new form of like making music or artistry that kind of allows you to free yourself from some of the constraints you have with your primary instrument. So I think for me personally, and maybe I don't know how you feel, Colleen, but I think there was just something really fun about kind of channeling some of these more intense emotions and things that were coming up during the pandemic into a new art form that felt maybe more cathartic in some ways than this instrument that I've been playing a long time.
Perhaps novelty feels like a reductive word for it, but the newness of it
absolutely
is a huge part of it. I feel like just with like you kind of the spark of a new instrument or a new kind of thing you're pouring so much time into.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then once we had 3 folks that were singing, then now there's like, ooh, cool harmonies are now an option,
Yeah.
and then so that kind of multiplies the possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we're still like have only scratched the surface of like what do vocals look like in Rabeca. Like I know with our new songs, we really want to like push the vocal harmonies and just push that more. Like I think it was really cool how it ended up working out on Junk, where we have like one song that I'm the main vocalist on, one that Anna is, and one that Rack is. So I think it like is really cool that we each had like those moments and like each took the lead on those songs that we had like written. But yeah, I'm very excited to like see what the future evolution of that will look like, and hopefully more like collaborative songwriting and yeah, really just like pushing those harmonies.
Yeah. How did the idea first get broached for taking that kind of dive? Like want to have a song with kind of level of lyrical focus and trying it to add and successfully adding vocals for these songs. Was that just kind of like a natural conversation that bubbled up as you were both kind of starting to stir up the songs and the song ideas?
I think we all felt compelled to write it and then brought it in. And then I know Rack, like with your experience with like harmonizing and like just vocal technique too, I've definitely learned things around like harmonizing and working together to sing too. So I think for like certain harmony parts that maybe was some of the inspiration was like, oh, like David said, like, oh, this is cool that this is happening. But I think there was like this natural, like, I have a song with vocals. Let me bring it in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think did you bring Down first? I think that was the first song with lyrics that we had.
No, we did Baby Carrot and
of course.
Candy
Yeah,
Heart.
what am I
Oh my
thinking
gosh, yeah, that's true. I keep
Yeah,
forgetting
I
about
know.
those songs.
I
Yeah,
know,
those
I
two.
know.
Because when did we release?
Those were
That was
2021, I think.
at least Baby
yeah.
Carrot
Yeah,
was.
just after Potluck.
That's so
but
wild.
not part of Potluck. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we started writing songs like basically just after Potluck released.
Yeah.
And then have been writing songs with lyrics for a while now. And I think we just like started to like realize how much fun it is to harmonize and how impactful it is for our audiences. And I feel like that has motivated us to continue. And I'm a choir director, so I'm always like, let's all sing together.
Great. But kind of on the flip side of that, with the instrumentals, like with the composition, what has been, I guess, like so like the way of connecting those lyrical themes with what you're playing, and even just like maybe this could go as far as in the moment when you're soloing and you're trying to grasp what the song is playing with and what it's trying to be and what it is about in the moment, and do whatever you can in that moment to emphasize that. Maybe this is too abstract, I don't know. But how do you kind of conceptualize that when you're playing, when you're writing? Because I think the music and the lyrics on those songs obviously play together, and with the vocal melodies, and they're all intersecting and working together as a unit. But with the instrumentals, there's lyrics, but there's still that same kind of searching, and it's like looking for to address the same things that were informing the more explicit songs, as we could say.
I was gonna say, I feel like a lot of the themes that we have in our lyrical songs tend to do with like our inner life and our reaction to the world around us. And I think that that kind of sensation is reflected in the way that we listen and respond to one another in performance, and how we like the themes of our improvisation and of our lyrics themselves are kind of about an expression of our reaction to the difficulties of our realities. And I think that like when we get a chance to improvise and work together, we can like correlate in the music that we make. And I think that that's really cathartic for us. And I think it's helpful for us to relate to one another in that way. And lovely to be able to share that with people who want to listen to it.
Yeah, I think like speaking about like the lyrics of the song that I wrote on Junk Too Much, like, yeah, that's very much just about like how my anxious brain works. And like, but then like, yeah, the end of the song when we're like singing in harmony is kind of like, oh, actually when I'm around my friends and my bandmates and like the people who I love, like that brings me back down to earth and like makes me feel better. So yeah, I feel like that is really reflected in like when we're playing together, and especially like, yeah, like you were saying, like doing the kind of music that we do, that's very like improv heavy and like really hinges upon us like listening to each other and like reacting in the moment. Like that process is very like meditative and like requires a lot of mindfulness in the moment. So yeah, which is something that I really appreciate.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think kind of one song that I think that captures that with the lyrics and with the music, and just the way that those two things they coincide to mutually kind of emphasize this idea, and the idea of the song of "Don't Be Gone Too Long," and just kind of the nature of kind of that yearning distance, and like you're missing something and you want it to come back, obviously. And I think the outro of that really accomplishes that, both with just the repetition of the title, but with the way, like, the very forcefulness of the music, and that works really well. And sometimes I think that probably is just natural as you're putting the songs together, as you're in the moment and you're all feeling these kind of same things and fueling them into your instruments.
Yeah, and even for like our instrumental songs, that's kind of similar in that once we kind of latch on to a certain vibe, then I guess we can kind of direct our without like a lyrical kind of story, we can pick up on the same kind of strands, and it kind of coalesces more or less without having some sort of narrative structure.
Yeah, and for "Don't Be Gone Too Long," that part of it, like, I wrote that song, but I didn't have a prescription for the end of it. We co-wrote that ending, and I think that like those themes were able to be emphasized by us singing together and by Anna solo. I think that that was like a good example of us writing songs together, and how I didn't necessarily intend for there to be harmony at the end, but it ended up, I think, adding that being the cherry on top of that song for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like every song, even if it has lyrics or not, has influence from everybody in the band. And like each person's part, I think for the most part, is kind of written by them, but within the structure that someone is bringing to the table. And I think even if somebody brings a structure, what's really cool is like if somebody has an idea and is like, what do you think about this? That's kind of wild. That's kind of crazy. Then like, I feel like people will be like, let's try it. And then if it works, then it's this whole new song, whole new way of approaching the song. So I think there's something really cool about, even if someone comes in with like kind of the heaviest structure within our group, I feel like there's a lot of like movement of that structure in the end, and like what it ends up being is very different than how someone brought it in, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that we're already looking at new music, since you performed a new song that we got to listen to tonight. So you've already talked about wanting to continue to obviously add lyrics and vocals and just experiment with that and grow in that instrument. But what other things, what other currents are kind of taking you as you're working on new songs and new music as a band?
I've been a pain in the ass and have really advocated for trying to play for a while and not know what's going to come next, which is an easier role for me on drums. But I've had the fun, snidey perspective of saying, yeah, let's do this with the lights off. Let's, actively see how it feels all together to figure it out in a way that's not guided by a structure, because I'm completely biased as the drummer. And, we've been playing for like 5 years. And so with that, I think comes when we talk about like family, care and relaxation, it's this sense of like, oh, we can like tread water for a while, and that's a fun, exciting thing. Can we tread water with the lights off and see if we could do it for like 10 plus minutes, which is a fun, exciting thing that I'm happy all of you have been. Yeah. Right. It's like, it's something that's fun and exciting, and everyone has been very kind about my perspective on that.
Well, that sounds
it's been
so
working
fun.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that tension is like what makes songwriting fun. Like Satchel brings like a like important perspective that I lack and that other people lack, and that we all like come together and end up with music that is like multifaceted.
Yeah.
I think as we're like starting to write our new music for the next album, I think we like don't have like a specific core idea of it yet.
Well, yeah, it's
But
been
I think
2 months since
yeah,
last one
exactly.
came out.
We have,
Give me the
like-
release date, give me the title, give me the theme.
I think we do have like 4 or 5 like half-baked songs though. We've all been like chomping at the bit to get something down because we just released the album. We had a what's it called, residency at Ice House, and we've just been like kind of grinding on the gig end, and now we're just like so excited to put pen to paper and write some stuff. And I think we have some like inspirational directions, like we have artists that we're trying to like go towards and like musical examples that we all love that we want to like write like. So it's been kind of fun to have these like unfinished ends to mull over together, lyrics to write, parts to finish, parts to keep unfinished.
Yeah.
I feel like another thing too is like, I think when we have new material, what's cool is I think everyone has in mind what we've done before and is thinking about pushing it or doing something new or having some combination of like instrumentation or vocals or something that is something that we haven't done before. And I think that that's a really fun challenge. And at a certain point, it's like hard to find new combinations and things, but that like trying to figure it out is very fun for me. And I think for everybody else, just to see what
Figuring
we
it
can
out,
do. Yeah.
Because you don't know what the hell you're going to do when you start. That's not the point of starting it. It's like if you already know the ending, then it's like, we're just...
That's actually a really good perspective. I think all of us have been figuring out in these 5 years is that it's like we all just live together, you know, and kind of just like here's a opportunity for Colleen and Anna to play music at this cabaret, and now we've had a residency and we've released albums and have gigged enough for it to work.
Yeah.
Right. That we're all like, okay, cool. Like, how do we do this next part? Or like, how do we figure out responsibilities for like all of the music business stuff that we kind of just fell into through having fun playing. So I think that's a perspective that I forget about because it's been so long.
Absolutely.
And then you're in a
At the end of
position
the day,
you're
none
like,
of us
why?
know what in the world's going on, and there's a certain just kind of purity to that. Sometimes
Yeah.
you have to like reduce your perspective to that.
Yeah, well, just because you see what everyone else is doing, and you find yourself in perspectives of like, oh my gosh, there's all these people doing these things. Like, what are we doing? Here's the industry, quote unquote, or the scene. And you're like, well, I guess we're not just playing in our living rooms anymore.
Yeah, this isn't over Zoom. Thank God.
Even though now we graduated to playing in a basement.
That's a huge step. And if the basement like is nice, that's like being a millionaire. To like, there's like the basement has to suck. Like it cannot be a good basement.
Love a basement. Yeah.
Yeah, like as we may have pointed out, I don't know. There's a sinkhole in our basement right now.
Oh, I love a sinkhole.
Yeah, we've tried to seal it a couple times. It never unsinks. Anyways, what's the easiest way for people to find the latest music, Aussie Junk, so they can check that out if they haven't already, and anything that'll be coming in the future, since you're already chomping at the bit, to use the word. What's the easiest way to keep track of that? Stay in touch with y'all as we look to the future, and investigate the past if we like what we've heard.
Yeah,
Which you
we're
fucking
on.
better have, otherwise I'm going to beat all of you up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're on all streaming services under Rabeca, Rabeca, and we're on social media at This Is Rabeca, mostly Instagram. We have others, but mostly active on Instagram.
Yeah, don't go searching on Threads. Like what is that? What is
No,
that?
we're not. We're anti-threads.
Yeah, what the Threads? What is a clothing store? Haha. You're on.
I mean, technically,
you, don't say
we're
X.
not
Don't
gonna.
say
Bandcamp, Bandcamp though.
Yeah,
We should check when the
Bandcamp.
last post was. Probably forever.
like years ago.
Yeah, totally.
Good. Time away from that place is
must.
better.
Yeah.
Okay, we've lost the
thread.
We lost the thread. Oh God! Jesus, that's proof that we need to leave. Thank you so much, y'all. If you haven't heard the record Junk, check it out. Listen to what they just said, and if you want to hear more, because they told you how, and you'd be dumb not to. Stupid. We love you, but you're stupid.
Yeah, asshole, we love you.
Yeah, that's the attitude we bring to the podcast here. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You have been listening to the Ear Coffee Podcast. If you like what you heard, please rate, review, and share so we can stand out against the sea of other music podcasts. You can find information from this podcast and other important links in the show notes of this episode. If you would like to support us, please consider subscribing on Patreon for early access to episodes, live sessions, and other bonus content. You can also subscribe to our Substack for a regular newsletter with reviews, ramblings, and other written content. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.